Have you ever finished a simple task, like watering the garden or walking to the mailbox, and thought, why am I feeling a little more winded than usual? Or maybe you've noticed your energy dipping faster these days, even when you're doing things you've always loved? You're not alone. In fact, after 70, many of us start noticing little changes in how our bodies feel. But here's the thing, those small signs might be telling us something important about our hearts. Now, I know what you might be thinking, heart health? That sounds complicated. But here's the good news, protecting your heart doesn't have to mean drastic changes or giving up the things you enjoy. Today, I want to share 4 simple, everyday habits that can make a world of difference. These aren't fads or quick fixes, they're practical, doable steps backed by science and real-life success stories. And the best part? They're all about helping you feel stronger, more vibrant, and more you as you embrace this chapter of life. Now, I know what you might be thinking, heart health? That sounds complicated. But here's the good news, protecting your heart doesn't have to mean drastic changes or giving up the things you enjoy. Today, I want to share 4 simple, everyday habits that can make a world of difference. These aren't fads or quick fixes, they're practical, doable steps backed by science and real-life success stories. And the best part? They're all about helping you feel stronger, more vibrant, and more you as you embrace this chapter of life. Let's start with the first habit, one you've probably heard before, but with a twist. I'm talking about movement. Now, I'm not saying you need to train for a marathon or lift heavy weights. In fact, for many of us over 70, gentle consistency is the golden rule. Think about my neighbor, Margaret. She's 78, and her secret to staying spry? A 15-minute walk every morning after breakfast. Rain or shine, she loops around her garden or strolls to the end of the street and back. And you know what? Her doctor recently told her that her blood pressure and cholesterol levels look better than they did a decade ago. Here's why this works. Daily movement, even light activity, keeps your blood flowing smoothly, which helps your heart work less hard. It's like oiling a hinge, everything just runs better. But here's the key, listen to your body. If your knees protest, try chair exercises or a slow swim. If balance is a concern, hold onto a countertop while marching in place. The goal isn't intensity, it's showing up, day after day, in a way that feels good for you. Now, let's move to the second habit, and this one might surprise you. It's not just about what you eat, but how and when you eat. Let me explain. As we age, our metabolism slows down, and our bodies process food differently. But instead of restrictive diets or counting calories, think of it as nourishing your heart with rhythm and routine. Take my friend, Carl. He used to skip breakfast, eat a big lunch, and snack all evening. But after a minor heart scare, his doctor suggested something simple, 3 modest meals at regular times, with a focus on whole foods. Carl started having oatmeal with berries in the morning, a hearty soup or salad for lunch, and grilled fish or chicken with veggies at dinner. Within months, his energy stabilized, and his heart health improved dramatically. The magic here is in consistency and balance. Eating at regular times helps regulate blood sugar and blood pressure, 2 big players in heart health. And when you fill your plate with colorful fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins, you're giving your heart the nutrients it craves. But let's be real, life's too short to skip dessert forever. The trick is moderation. Enjoy that slice of pie, but maybe pair it with a handful of nuts or a cup of herbal tea to keep things steady. Now, before we move on, I want to pause and acknowledge something. Starting new habits can feel overwhelming. Maybe you're thinking, how do I fit this into my routine? Or what if I've never been a walker or a veggie lover? That's okay. Small steps add up. Start with one 10-minute walk this week. Swap out one processed snack for a piece of fruit or a handful of almonds. Celebrate those victories, they matter. And here's the truth, your heart is worth it. After 70, 90% of heart issues begin with the choices we make every day. But that also means you have so much power to protect it. In the next part, we'll talk about 2 more habits, ones you might not expect, that can lower stress, improve sleep, and keep your heart beating strong for years to come. Until then, why not pick one tiny change to try today? Your future self will thank you. You know, one of the things I've learned about heart health is that it's not just about what we do with our bodies, it's also about what we do with our minds. Let me tell you about my cousin, Irene. She's 76, sharp as a tack, and still volunteers at the library twice a week. But a few years back, she went through a rough patch, lost her husband, then her sister, all within a year. The stress took such a toll on her that her doctor warned her, "Irene, your heart can't carry this weight forever." And that's when she discovered the third habit, managing stress like your heart depends on it, because it does. Now, stress isn't just a feeling, it's a physical reaction. When we're stressed, our bodies pump out hormones like cortisol, which can raise blood pressure and make our hearts work overtime. But here's the thing, stress isn't a badge of honor to ignore. It's a signal to slow down. Irene started small. Every morning, she'd sit by her window with a cup of chamomile tea and just breathe. 10 deep breaths in, 10 deep breaths out. Then she added a 5-minute gratitude journal, writing down one thing she was thankful for each day. Over time, those tiny moments of calm became her armor. You don't need fancy apps or hour-long meditations. Find what soothes you. Maybe it's listening to old records, tending to your roses, or calling a grandchild. The goal is to create little pockets of peace in your day. And if your mind races at night, try this. Keep a notepad by your bed. When worries pop up, jot them down and say, "I'll handle you tomorrow." It's like telling your brain, shift to neutral for a bit, the heart needs rest. Which brings me to the 4th habit, and this one's a game changer, protecting your sleep like it's gold. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, sleep? At my age? Good luck with that. Believe me, I've had those nights too, staring at the ceiling while the clock ticks away. But here's the truth, poor sleep doesn't just leave you groggy, it's linked to higher risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, even irregular rhythms. So how do we fix it? Let's borrow a tip from my old college roommate, Ed. He's 72 and swears he sleeps like a teenager. His secret? Routine, routine, routine. Ed goes to bed and wakes up at the same time every day, even on weekends. An hour before bed, he dims the lights, turns off the TV, and reads a paperback, the kind with real pages. If he wakes up at 3 a.m., he doesn't toss and turn, he gets up, sips a little warm milk, and sits in his recliner until drowsiness creeps back. No screens, no stress. Just quiet. And guess what? His cardiologist says his heart rate variability, that's a measure of heart resilience, is better now than when he was 50. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a sleep perfectionist. But small tweaks can help. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Avoid heavy meals or caffeine late in the day. And if naps are your lifeline, limit them to 20 minutes, just enough to recharge without stealing nighttime sleep. Think of it as giving your heart a nightly tune-up. After all, it's been working for you nonstop for decades, it deserves a good pit stop. Let's take a breath and tie this together. We've talked about moving gently, eating with rhythm, taming stress, and honoring sleep. These aren't rules carved in stone, they're invitations. Invitations to show up for yourself, day by day, in ways that feel doable. Maybe today you try one deep breath before lunch. Maybe you swap that late-night cookie for a cup of tart cherry tea, which folks say helps with sleep. Progress, not perfection, is the motto. I'll leave you with this, your heart is more than a muscle, it's the rhythm of your life. The laughter at family gatherings, the quiet joy of a sunrise, the stories you've lived and shared. Protecting it isn't about fear, it's about love. Love for the moment still ahead. In our final part, we'll talk about how to weave these habits into your unique life and how to keep going even when motivation fades. Because you've got so much living left to do. There's a saying I've always loved: the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And you know what? That's exactly how I feel about heart health. It's never too late to start nurturing yourself, to give your heart the care it deserves, no matter where you are on life's journey. Over these last 2 parts, we've talked about 4 simple, powerful habits. But today, let's talk about you. How do these pieces fit into your life? How do you keep going when motivation fades or life gets busy? Let's tie it all together. First, let's revisit those habits, not as a checklist, but as a rhythm. Think of them like the seasons. Each one has its role, its time, and together, they create balance. You've got movement, gentle, daily motion to keep your blood flowing and your spirit lifted. Then nourishment, feeding your body with steady, wholesome meals that honor your heart's needs. Stress management, those quiet moments of peace that soften life's edges. And finally, sleep, that sacred reset button for your entire body. But here's the secret: these habits aren't separate. They're threads in the same tapestry. Take my friend, Helen. At 75, she felt stuck, her energy was low, and her doctor mentioned her heart wasn't as strong as it could be. So she started small. A 10-minute walk after breakfast became her meeting with the sunrise. She swapped her evening chips for apple slices with almond butter. Before bed, she'd write down one worry and one joy from her day, then let both go. And instead of scrolling TV late into the night, she'd sip lavender tea and listen to old jazz records. Within months, her checkups improved, but more importantly, she felt lighter. More like herself. Now, Helen isn't a superhero. She has days where she'd rather skip the walk or eat cake for lunch. But here's what she taught me: progress isn't about being perfect, it's about being kind. If you miss a day, start fresh the next morning. If stress creeps in, take 3 deep breaths and whisper, "This too shall pass." Your heart doesn't need grand gestures. It needs steady, loving attention. So, let's talk about sticking with it. How do you make these habits stick? The answer's simpler than you think: make them yours. Tailor them to your life, your joys, your limitations. Love gardening? Turn weeding into your daily movement. Adore cooking? Experiment with heart-friendly recipes, maybe a new soup each week. Hate journaling? Talk to your pet, your plants, or a photo of someone you love. The how doesn't matter, only the why. And your why is this: you deserve to feel strong, vibrant, and fully alive in every chapter. Before we wrap up, I want to say something important: you're not alone in this. So many of us are navigating these same waters, learning as we go. That's why I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small change you've tried, or want to try? What's your go-to stress reliever or favorite heart-healthy meal? Share your stories. Your wisdom might be the nudge someone else needs to take that first step. If today's tips resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us create more content that matters for you, your friends, and anyone who believes that age is just a number. And remember, every sunrise is a new chance to choose your health, to choose joy, to choose life. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep showing up for yourself, one gentle step at a time. After all, the world needs your heart, your laughter, your stories, your light. Here's to living fully, boldly, and beautifully at every age.